Welcome everyone, today I have a beginner's guide for Last Epoch. In this video, I want to share you guys 10 of the beginner tips I have learned and also I found very useful for the game. So as you can see over here, I have written those tips and also tricks down over here as a list. And what I do is I will also come back into the game and also using different replays to show you guys how those works and also how those can be helpful for new players in the game. Now, even if you guys are veteran players, there may be some things that could be also helpful. So let's go into the guide. So let's go through those top 10 tricks for beginners. Now, starting with the first tip for Last Epoch. So as you guys know, Last Epoch will have 5 different classes and also 3 different masteries for each class. So if I come over to my character over here, I'm currently playing the Sentinel and also I went into the Void Knight as my class of mastery, which allows me to have Erasing Strike as the special ability. Now, actually it'll be easier if I move my head around over here so you can see. So once you pick the mastery, you will have a mastery class ability. And this is the biggest difference together with the passive bonus from the mastery. But even though you have picked the mastery, you can still perk points into other masteries to gain the spells and also abilities. And for my current Spin to Win build, I'll be perking into the Sigils of Hope by putting 15 points into the Paladin passives. So my first tip is that even though we have a permanent mastery, which gives us special passives and also special skills, you can still go into other masteries for bonus stats and also bonus spells. And this of course will come back to the builder's guide and I'll go into more details in the future videos on this part. Now, second to that, for most players that have played Path of Exile, you might notice this one as well. So if you look down where my mouse is on that side of the screen, you can see the passive skill point reward and also passive idol slot reward. It goes up to 15 and also 7 by doing different side quests. Some of the side quests does not provide those particular reward, while other side quests, let me move myself back over here, other side quests will provide you with passive skills and also passive idol slots. Those are the side quests you might want to be doing because this will make you stronger, and as you unlock more points into your passives on your different skill trees, you'll be able to unlock different skills and also different abilities, which is quite important to get all 15 of those. And once you have all 15 of those, your future side quests will no longer provide you with those benefits, so you can safely ignore the side quests if they're out of the way. Now the third tip I want to share with you guys is quite interesting. So let's come over to this particular replay, and currently I'm about to hand in the quest to 2 different NPCs. The first time I tried this one, I went to the closest NPC, which is a gambler, and by returning the item to him, he gave me a unique item. Now this time on my second character, I decided to return the item to another character, and similarly, by returning the item to him, I got a passive point reward and also a special unique gloves. So this is a quite interesting quest because you get to pick which NPCs you'll be returning the quest item, and by doing so, you'll be able to obtain different items. And of course, if you give the item to a different person, you'll have a different unique. So here, just to show you guys the 2 unique items I got. So the first round of the game, I played the Necromancer and I gave the item to the Gambler, and I was able to get the Gambler's Volancy. And the second time I gave the item to the other NPC, I think it was Ezra, and he gave me those set of gloves. And if you have look at the stats carefully, if you're going for a critical strike build or if you're going for elemental damage build, which you want to have some lifesteal, those could be some really good early game items for your class or for your build. So it's quite important that we know we need to pick one NPC to give those items. And should you want both of those unique items, you can then of course make a second account and follow through the quest by playing and also handing the quest item to a different NPC. So notice on the side of the screen where my mouse is, you can see the Ezra's Offer, Ezra's Ledger, and also Admin's Offer. Those are the quests that provide you guys with those unique choices of unique items to be coming from the reward. Now coming over to our fourth tip. As you guys play the game, sometimes you might get some very special and also rare affixes like the hybrid health, which is very important for the mid and also late stage of the game, because those items will provide you guys with increased health and also increased health percentage. Now as an example, this is what it looks like. So if you have a look at this set of gloves, I'm getting 62 plus health and also 5% increased health. So if I put this particular item onto myself, my Necromancer goes from 1700 HP to close to 1900 HP. And this is actually quite important in the latest stage of the game for both crafting and also make yourself tanky. So why is this important is that this particular FX can be crafted onto other items, which will make you tankier, and also is quite important in the late game should you want to use the Rune of Shattering onto those particular items to extract those rare FXs. So if you ever come across those particular items as you play through the game, any stage of the game, those are the set of gloves you can see over here. Should you ever come across those set of FXs, the hybrid health, those are very rare and very good for any of the class. So my advice is to save those items in your storage, and in the future, should you want to be crafting onto those items, what you can do is you can be using the Rune of Shattering. Now there's also a small tip over here for the Rune of Shattering. So let's first talk about the Rune of Shattering. The Rune of Shattering will allow you to extract those special rare FXs from the gloves. And because this is a tier 5, and I'll give you guys a live example. So after selecting Rune of Shattering, if I shatter this one, I got +3 of the hybrid health shard. And this is why one of the reasons we want to keep those particular item with those affixes, and also want to extract them should we need to use to be crafting them. The next tip I have for you guys is always coming over to the vendor whenever you can, and once you have enough gold, you can be buying those Rune of Shattering for 2000 gold each. At the start of the game, this might seem to be very expensive, but in the latest stage of the game, you actually get tons of gold as you play the content. So notice I've saved up to 64 of those, and slowly as I get more rare affixes, this will help me to craft stronger build for my character for the mid to late game. Now, definitely will have a special crafting guide for you guys very soon for Last Epoch, as I summarize and also consolidate everything I learned from crafting. The next tip is also related to crafting. As you guys play the game in early stages, you might want to have a very nice unique item for your particular build. So a variety of the build in Last Epoch will require at least a few legendaries, which can be crafted from unique items. So the Rune of Ascension not only allow you to get unique items, there's also a chance of getting unique items that has legendary potential to be crafted into legendaries, which is quite complicated thing I'll explain in the next video. So in this video, as you find the Rune of Ascension, you don't have to save them too much. If you really short an item, for example here, I really want a ring which allows me to be going to summon zombies for my build. What I can do is I can be getting any of the rings that is available. Okay, let's use this one because I don't think I'll use this one. So I can be using any of the rings and I can press F. Yes, this is one of my next tip I want to share with you guys. If you press F anywhere, you can be crafting. So if I press F and I put the ring in and then I go with my Rune of Ascension, this will have a chance for me to craft any of the unique items. Actually, this ring is already crafted. Yes, you actually have to have the item that is not out of crafting potential. So this one's out of the forge potential. Silly of me, right? Let me find another ring. So now coming back, I'm going to press F and I'll put this ring in. Notice that this ring has 41 crafting potential. And yes, any crafting potential will do because I'm basically changing this item into a unique item. And after that, we can't craft it. This one I have plus 149 health, which is a really good item. But it's okay. I don't think I need health because everything else I don't really need that, right? What we're doing is we're crafting and trying to roll into one of the rings I wanted. And I happened to come across to some Reddit posts that provided me with this link to one of the simulations to Last Epoch of the Rune of Ascension. Now, this is actually quite cool, and I'll share the links with you guys. So basically, once you select what you want to be crafting from your rare item to unique item, it will show you the simulation or the chances of, thousands of simulations. And this will give you a rough idea what is your chance of getting the item you wanted. For me, I want the cycle of percents, and this is why I wanted to be summoning violent skeletons. The rate is about 8.64%, and this is actually pretty good for me if I get lucky, but I haven't got lucky for many times. I've actually used 10 plus to try to get this one. So let's try this one in the video, and no luck. So yes, this is actually quite cool for you to get your in-game build completed or get a strong item in the early game. Should you need a strong two-hand weapon or maybe a strong chest, you can be crafting using the Rune of Ascension to get a head start in the early game, or to find yourself some crucial items in the mid and also late stage of the game. Now on the topic of crafting, there's also a small chance you can get legendary potentials like this chest over here. So I think I was testing out a chest and I happened to got this one, but I wasn't recording it. So this Titan's Heart was crafted using the Rune of Ascension into 2 legendary potential. Well, I think this was pretty lucky, right? So this is one of the examples. You can get some really good in-game items using this method as well. Now as we keep going, I think I skipped a lot of the tips, right? So tip number 7 is to have a loot filter ready. So coming over to my character, you can see that I have several loot filters I have tested and also tried myself. But it is possible. So notice for level 50, I made a loot filter, for level 50, level 70, and also I try to import other loot filters. It is possible to try to craft those guys yourself, or it is also possible to get a default loot filter for any of the Last Epoch website. I have the links available for you guys because at the moment I want to make a dedicated video for you guys to learn how to do the loot filters. But this will take a while as I want to learn a little more before I make the video. So at this time, if you want to get a custom made loot filter, come over here to select the loot filters. I'll also provide you guys with some more links to getting your loot filter quickly at the start of the game. Because what I realize is, after level 50, you tend to get so much loot to the point you're wasting too much time looking at those loots. And as you farm your echoes and also monolith, this actually takes a lot more time. So by having a loot filter available for your build, even a basic one can save you tons of time. And it's quite important for new players to realize this after level 50. Now coming over to last 2 tricks. Now I have not tried the dungeon skip trick, but as you guys can see, actually I'm on my Necromancer. I was playing my Void Knight and I am planning to try the dungeon story skip trick, which will allow us to skip one of the long and also tormenting boss fight with one of the sea gods. And this is by using the dungeon key. So what I was told by some of the viewers is that if you happen to find the Temporal Septum dungeon key, and if you go to this dungeon instead of fighting the boss, if you go to this dungeon with a Temporal Septum and clear the dungeon, and by clearing the dungeon and also by following through the dungeon, which I will be testing this one, you can skip one of the story bosses which takes ages to kill and also to fight. So this is one thing I'll be testing for you guys, and if this works, I will share the entire replay and also the method. So I'm quite excited to try this one on my second character, because on my first character, I just played through the entire campaign without using any of the tricks or the guides. Now finally, one of the tips I learned and also found super useful is to check what stats on your skills will scale to help you deal more damage for your class and also for your abilities. So for example, coming over here, you can see that I have tons of skills. If I hover over one of those skills, you can see the scaling tag. But if I press Alt, all of a sudden you can see that what intelligence will scale for my skills and also abilities. So you can see that it will provide me with 4% increased damage and also provide the minions with 4% increased damage per intelligence. And this will also work for providing them with additional health as well. So by simply hovering over to the abilities and also skills you want to be using, and then press Alt, you can see what ability scales with what. And this is why players will go with minion damage or go with intelligence for a certain build. And this will help you to pick items that provide with the right stats and also the right affixes to make yourself stronger. And this is quite important. So coming over to any of the abilities you want to be using, and you can see for this skeleton mages, they scales with minion, traverse, intelligence, and also scales with minion damage and also defense, of course. And one of the example I had with my warrior or my sentinel is that his abilities would scale with strength by 80% and also dexterity by 12% to provide me with increased damage on those stats. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but I want to summarize what I learned so far from the game, and hopefully those tips help you guys as you start the game and also as you enjoy the game.